playing catch up. And all these books are involving the Sentinel of Liberty, Captain America. Yeah, pretty much. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna review the first 3 issues of Captain America: Sentinel of Liberty by Kelly and Lansing, and I'm also gonna review the first 4 issues of Captain America: Symbol of Truth by Oni Uchi and Silva. I just want to make sure I get that name right. If I butchered, I apologize. So first and foremost, guys, I have really been enjoying both Captain America titles. Now, first and foremost, before anybody says, why are there 2 Captain Americas? Whenever I hear that, whenever I see that, I'll say, and I'm gonna throw this right back at you. Why are there several Flashes currently in the DC Comics? Why are there several Spider-Men? Why are there several Hulks? Don't bring that. There are 2 Daredevils now. So why couldn't there be 2 Captain Americas? Sam has earned it. Just saying. Like I hate that. But let's talk about Captain America: Sentinel of Liberty. First of all, they should have the real title, the real numbering, instead of number 1, because Sentinel of Liberty was out before. This is not a new title for Cap. That's his nickname. But I love this cover. The first issue, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Lansing, and I believe Mrs. Carnero, who does the artwork. Beautiful artwork. Loved it. This was great. They get Cap back to basics, which I love. First things first, I want to praise them because thank you for doing what they did. The first thing they did is establish something that only MCU fans don't know, or they think they know, and Marvel is trying to set like it is, or I should say the MCU. First of all, Captain America is not from Brooklyn. That's the first thing, and I've told a lot of people who want to know, that they know I know knowledge, and a lot of cousins do come to me about these things, and I like that. I appreciate that all the time when younger cousins come to me and say, well, talk to my cousin, he knows about the comic characters. So I do love that. So shouts out to all my cousins. I love you guys for doing that for me. That makes this 30-year comic reader very happy. Anyway, Captain America is not from Brooklyn. He didn't grow up in Brooklyn. He wasn't born in Brooklyn. He is from the Lower East Side of Manhattan. That's the Lower East Side. He's not from Brooklyn. The MCU built him from Brooklyn, which he's not. He's from Manhattan. He's from Lower East Side Manhattan. And Steve goes back down there and he rents an apartment. And I love how he talks about it. He's like, no more secret bases, no more clearance and things like that. Like, because back in previous Captain America comics, where he stayed was, he had a secret facility. One of them I remember was right in the center of the Brooklyn Bridge. There was like one of the support stables that keep the bridge up. That's where he lived. He lived right in there. It was a secret bunker there, and I was like, okay. There was a couple other places, but most of them are all in Brooklyn, and that's fine. But here he's like, he tells the landlord, he's like, I want this apartment. And we see the reason why, because that's the apartment he grew up in. When you see a flashback of him with his mom and everything like that, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. It get back to basics, like he's jogging around with the shield. He's letting people see him as Steve Rogers, but with the shield, and so everybody know, hey, that's Captain America. Even though I think everybody should know Steve Rogers because his identity was never secret. So he's doing that. He's saying hi to everybody. He's running track. He's just running 30 miles, not tired. Of course, Cap don't get tired. And even going to art class. For everybody who doesn't know, Steve is an artist. He's an artist. So he's taking art lessons and drawing. He's got like his own circle of people that he like, and he loves it. He's like, I'm liking it. Even though I'm older than most of these people, but he's like, he really likes it. He even has a network of people that were kind of around his time, and they're doing Morse code and everything like that. Even one of the old members of those classic Marvel characters, like remember the Black Marvel, the Destroyer. We see him in this. The Destroyer is alive and well. He's older, but he's there. It's great. Miss America was not in this, but yeah, I think she was. It could have been her, but it was really. I was like, whoa, they're bringing a lot of old school characters, and I love that. I thought that was great. But just bringing Steve back to basics, but also showcasing to us as fans that who he stands for, who Steve Rogers is, and so to speak. And he's even teaching a kid who's being bullied how to box and things like that. I was loving that. I was like, that's great. He's like, yeah, he's like, I used to get bullied as well as when I was your age. And he's like, when you throw a haymaker, he's like, don't hesitate, or don't throw less power. He said, put it all into it. He's like, throw it in there, boom, and the kid throws it, and it's so cool. And then we get to see him as Captain America, him and Bucky, and it's like during the 4th of July. There's like a 4th of July, and there's someone out there, and he is able to stop him. It's really cool, and Bucky, and then of course it leads into more, which leads us into Steve heading into Germany. And once again you hear Steve talking about Germany, and he's like, they're trying to do right now, they're trying to make up for the wrongs they did, and he's talking about Nazi Germany, and I truly believe that at times. Like, I think that's a blight on German history that they don't want that being known. You're talking to a guy who was born in that country, so I kind of know of a little bit of like, yeah, that's a blight on the history of Germany. So he's there. He's looking into a secret base that last guy who was in this issue was into, and then it starts getting into this secret organization that they're kind of supposed to be like the Illuminati in a sense, and they're talking to him like that shield means more than what it seems. It gets really deep into the symbol of the Captain America shield, and of course Bucky is doing his own kind of research, and he's in Madripoor and things like that. And when he goes into Madripoor, he meets up with somebody from the past. Peggy Carter, is alive and well, and she is undercover, and Peggy is like, go home, and like she's like, but he's like, I got something to tell you, and she don't trust him. She don't trust Bucky and things like that. While that's going on, Steve is at this base, and he is in like the forge area, and he sees where the shield was made and who made it, and it's like a message from a Wakandan who made the shield, who was under King T'Chaka. And I love where Steve talks about the shield and this organization. We're seeing all kinds of people, former Hydra agents, as well as former SHIELD agents. And Steve sees this guy, and he's like, wait, I know this guy. And you see it right here. And I love that, as you can see here, the organization, they have the symbol of the shield and things like that, and it's talking about, and then of course there's a battle that ensues. And then of course, like I said, Bucky meets up with Peggy. So that's what happens in the second one. Then that leads us into issue number 3, where it's basically this organization has put together this creature or man who is made of vibranium. This is all vibranium, and the Steve talks about King T'Chaka telling them about what the shield means, and as you can see, here's that message that he gets. And this was really good, and I love where Steve meets up with some of the one of the members of that luminous group that I'm talking about, and they were trying to make sure Steve didn't get there, but it's a shadowy organization. I don't think they have a name yet, but it's like an organization, and pretty much I love where Steve talks about what King T'Challa told them about something about the shield. I'm trying to get to it. It's really good. It's called the creature. This creature is called the Reacted. Here we go. This was good. He says the day King T'Chaka passed along the vibranium that will become my shield, he passed along 2 pieces of wisdom. I'll never forget. The metal is your protector. Respect it. That was the first. The second, I wouldn't understand for years to come. The metal is your teacher. T'Chaka told me. Listen to it. So when Steve is fighting the reactor, he's using the shield and really using it as a way to find out where the reacted is, like by sensing vibrations and everything. And I love that. You can see right here, he's doing it right here. It's great. I was like, oh, this is great. So I love that lesson. The metal is your protector and your teacher. It's like, use it to your but even though Steve was able to find out some information on this shadowy organization, the Reacted is back, and it's now stateside. It's in Manhattan, and it's going after people in Steve's circle. And the first one is Amari, the little boy that Steve's neighbor that Steve was teaching. And I'm like, oh God, Steve needs to get there. So this was good. I'm really enjoying this. And that's all the Sentinel of Liberty that I've caught up on. And then that leads us into Captain America, the Symbol of Truth. The first 4 issues. So here you got, like this cover, you got Sam on cover with Joaquin, back there, the new Falcon, and Red Wing himself, the homie Red Wing. This was a good issue because it shows, it starts off with Sam and Joaquin getting information from Misty Knight, talking about somebody bringing in illegal vibranium through Mexico. The knowledge is, they thought it was solid because it's coming from Misty. When they get there, they get into a air fight, battle, and everything like that. And of course, we see what's going on in the past. And what I love about it is just Misty and Sam are walking through Harlem, and they're talking, and Misty's like, I didn't grow up in Harlem. We only came up here a little. My dad would bring us here sometime, but we grew up in Sugar Hill. this is all areas of New York, guys. So if you don't know these places, research them. But these are all areas of New York, especially my non-New Yorkers out there. So, and she talks about him. Sam was like, did you ever go, we came up here to shop, came up to Harlem to shop, and he said, Showtime at the Apollo, which still goes on to this day. And she's like, no, we didn't have that kind of money to get in there. So it was fun. And then we're seeing this group called Wakanda Forever, and Wakanda now is starting to accept visas from Americans to come into Wakanda now. Because now, if you haven't been reading Black Panther now is not like a monarchy anymore. They kind of are now more a democracy. T'Challa still, but he doesn't have as much power as he used to have. It's kind of balanced now, so it's different. So if you haven't been reading Black Panther, you may be a little confused. They tell you, like, read Black Panther, understand what's going on. I love when Marvel does that. But yeah, that's the solid information that Misty gets. I love this relationship with Misty and Sam, even though Misty tries to not believe that they're not a couple, but she's always saying, this wasn't a date, and Sam's like, yeah, whatever. And like, I don't mind that Misty and Sam are together now. Do I miss that Misty is not with Danny? A little bit, I do, but there's still wounds between the two that need to take time to heal. You gotta keep in mind, guys, Misty hurt Sam. She lied to him about being pregnant. She kept that a secret for a long time, and that hurt Danny a lot. So he's still not over that. He still says, I still love her, but when I look at her, that anger just builds. So I understand it. So when they get there, they find individuals like immigrants, and one of them is actually the cousin to Joaquin, and they get them help and things like that. Lo and behold, we're also seeing that someone else has been visiting Rumlow, aka Crossbones, in jail. T'Challa's brother, White Wolf. And he's talking about, we're gonna overthrow some government you want in, and I'll even get you a chance to kill Captain America. And that leads us into issue number 2. Yes, don't get it twisted. That is Deadpool, and Deadpool is in this. Sam heads to Latveria, to get some info of a train that's going into. He's getting some more info, and then he sees Wade is there, and so he Wade, maybe you know a little bit more about illegal smuggling of vibranium. And he's like, I don't know, I'm trying to get some info myself. The way Kelly and them write, the way Oniguchi writes Deadpool in this, it's kind of serious. And I was like, whoa, okay, he's writing Wade kind of serious, not like talking to the camera, not breaking the fourth wall, things like that. But he's still being, Sam, and he's still being Wade at the time. And while that's going on, we're seeing what's going on with Joaquin. He starts getting more info from his cousin, and then he starts to investigate what's going on with these immigrants and people being tested in labs and everything like that. It gets really intense. The storytelling was really good. The pacing's really good in this one as well. And lo and behold, of course, if you are going into Latveria, who do you think you're going to run into? And that leads us into issue number 3. Dr. Doom. And, Sam is telling Doom, look, we weren't coming here to do any harm to Latveria or spy on Latveria. He gives Doom the 411. He's like, okay, he's like, here, this is what was happening, this was going on, okay. And, oddly enough, Doom lets Sam go. He's like, all right, Mr. Wilson, you can go. Now, you would probably say, wait, how does Doom know Sam is, that's Sam? It's Dr. Doom. But he says, not you, Deadpool. I need to talk more with you. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we get more information, a little bit more, and this is where we get more information that, okay, we need to go to the source. Now, Sam is his contact is a senator, Senator Mayfield, and he's like, okay, Senator, we got to clue Wakanda in. What's going on? So he calls Wakanda, Shuri and the Prime Minister, I believe, they're talking, and I forget the other person that's talking. And he's telling Sam, like, look, someone is smuggling vibranium out, and it could be a joint project between us and you guys. And Sam gets burnt. They get burnt. They're just like, oh, thank you for the information, but we'll handle it. And Sam is like, we could do it together. Do not let your pride, you don't know what's going on. Like, let us help. And they're like, no, thank you. Hang up. And it's just like, oh. And that right there is something that I think a lot of fans feel is still the problem with Wakanda. They're still not very trusting of people, even though, yeah, they're opening their doors now for people to come to Wakanda, especially on visas. They're still not trusting. Someone is telling them and they're just like, well, we'll handle it. No problem. And I love that Sam is telling you're letting your pride stop the bigger picture. And if you don't, something's going to happen. And that's something that Sam takes very, very serious in this. He's just like, And then Mayfield is like, I told you, they're not going to help. They're not. So Sam's like, so what do you want me to do? It's like, so basically they say, yeah, you got to go undercover. And Sam's not really cool with that. He's like, I'm not doing that. But he realized maybe he does. Now, while that's going on, Joaquin is doing his part of helping his cousin and people like that. That was good too. But Sam does go undercover as one of those being let into Wakanda. He goes in, and while he's there, he goes undercover, and that leads us into issue number 4. So that's going on. All that stuff is going on with all that stuff. Joaquin and him helping his cousin and everything like that. And even we finding out that the White Wolf, he's just playing an intricate game with everybody. He's playing chess, and he's got all his players on board. Everybody's doing exactly what he feels is gonna do. And in doing so, Sam gets to Wakanda, and while he's there, that's the point. While he's there he gets to Wakanda, and as you can see here, he's in Wakanda. That's him in Wakanda. And all of a sudden, I love the line that he uses here. He says, they're in a town called Nini Zana, the Golden City. And he's basically saying, so this is what Cam, somebody he knew, a prisoner he talked to, he said, this is what Cam was talking about. This is what he meant. There's so much joy here. They look free from hate, free from fear. This is what I'm trying to protect, even if Shuri thinks otherwise. And even though all that's going on, like you can see, you got cameras, and you can tell it's Shuri, using it. So Sam is just looking at the city. He's kind of trying to blend in as an American coming over, and all of a sudden, two, like, I guess you could say guards or so, or people that are honoring them. He says, comes over and says, welcome, my brother, if you would please come with us. And he's like, sure. And he says, no restraints. That's a good sign, right? So he's thinking, okay, they know I'm not. And all of a sudden, they take him farther into like these wooded areas, and all of a sudden, the facade is dropped, and there's crossbones. And it's very, very interesting. And I love, Sam, he's crossbones is just running off at the mouth, talking, White Wolf, and Sam was like, who? He didn't know. He's like, your boy, your friend T'Challa has a brother, and things like that. And it's just as smart as he is, and he's talking about White Wolf. And, Sam is just letting Rumlow talk. Just keep talking. Just keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking. And I love where Sam just decks the shit out of him. It's like, you just can't shut up, can you? And, at that point, Sam had the upper hand for a while till Rumlow threw a rock at his head, clocked him, and then, of course, gets the upper hand on him. However, Sam, you got to remember, one thing I love, and I think Onyi Buchi, if I'm butchering the name, I apologize. And Silva's artwork is just gorgeous in this. You got to remember, though he's Captain America, Sam has powers that we don't see in the MCU, which I wish they gave him. It looks like everything is over. Rumlow's all like, yeah, I got you. You're out of your weight class, son. He's all like, yeah, you're out of your weight class. You ain't no match for me. And what does Sam do? Oh, yeah, he calls that a bunch of falcons or eagles. I think those are golden eagles. Those look like eagles because we're in Africa. And he's like, and he's just got them just pecking at. And he's like, you better tell me what's going on, or I'll tell them to pick out your eyes next. And Roman's like, all right. And he's just like, call him off. I loved it. I was like, yes, don't forget, Sam can communicate with any bird life. Like, come on, stop that. Let's not forget that. And I loved it. And unfortunately, it is about vibranium. And unfortunately, they run into who. T'Challa. He's here. And that's where it ends. So I've caught up on the first three and first four of Captain America. The first three of Captain America, Sentinel Liberty, and the first four of Captain America, Symbol of Truth. Both are really good. They both tell very good, intricate stories, and you can see that they're about to do some kind of crossover someday down the line. There's something called Cold War. That's going to be a big event, a Captain America event that's coming. I'm looking forward to that. But they're all telling good stories, and I like it. I'm very much loving it. And I don't find it any wrong for having two Captain Americas. Why not? Why can't you have two? It's fine. It's fine. It's very fine indeed. You got several Spider-Men, Hulks, Flash, and most of these people they're in the same universe. They're all together. So it's fine. It's fine indeed. I got no problem with it. I like that Sam is back as Captain America. Now you can say, well, they're probably doing it because, well, in the MCU, and for a while I used to say, nah, that's not true. But we're starting to see a lot of things that Marvel writes are starting to play a big, like for example, what was the Shang-Chi movie that came out? Was Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, right? Well, there was a Shang-Chi comic that was out before the movie that Gene Yang was writing. Really good, I love it. And then the next one of Gene Yang came was called Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm like, what the hell? So yeah, there are intricate parts to it. I don't find anything wrong with what they're doing with Steve and Sam being Captain America, and just like one is doing his mission and one is doing his mission, that's fine. You know, you could also look at it like this. Steve is also the Captain America on the Avengers, and he does his side missions as well. Bucky is the kind of the Cap that deals with more domestic things that are coming into the States and everything like that. It's fine. It's something they're playing it off kind of how I felt they could have did Batman if Dick Grayson stayed Batman. Dick could have been the Batman of the Justice League. Bruce could have been the Batman that stayed in Gotham, where he can stay in Gotham and protect it. I like it. It's really good. I have no issues with it. I need to catch up on the rest of the issues, because I think now they're up to issue 7 or 8 now for both. But I gotta read that next issue. Like, I have a feeling we're gonna get a Sam versus T'Challa fight, and I don't think it's gonna go well for Sam in terms of fighting. I mean, Sam's a good fighter, but he's not on T'Challa's level. But you know how I feel about, you know, heroes versus hero fights. I don't like them that much. I really don't. And I'm really hoping Steve gets in time to save young Amari from the Reacted and get more in depth into who this shadow organization is. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so far I've been loving what's going on with both Captain America stories, both Captain America series. I'm loving it. I got a lot of books to catch up on, and I'm gonna do it like this. Just run through all of, like, I gotta catch up. I still want to review all the current books of Amazing Spider-Man, so I gotta run through that. The Daredevil. There are certain books that I read from Marvel that I won't review. Maybe I'll review it, maybe I won't. But if it's in trade, if I'm reading in trade, you better believe it's gonna be reviewed. That's the same thing with DC. I don't read a lot of DC in single issues. I read, most of my DC now is in trade. When it comes out in trade, then I read it. The only book that I do read, I only read 2 books now in single issues for DC. Nightwing and World's Finest. That's it. I don't read, everything else is in trade. So when I finish the trades, then I'll review it. But yeah, look forward to, hope you guys enjoyed it. You guys tell me what you thought. I like it. I like both sides. I love both artists who are working on the books. Y'all doing a great job. I actually posted that on Twitter, just saying you guys are doing a bang up job with both shirts. Because when I saw Mrs. Carnero's artwork, I was like, man, she's doing a great job. It looks great. You know, she doesn't make Steve too bulky, too muscular. She makes him just right. You get to see the facial expressions pay off, everything. I love it. And then you got R.B. Silva, who does the artwork on Sam's book. Monte Bene is great. I should have said it in Spanish. Oh Jesus. Excelente. Yeah, excellent. My Spanish is so bad. I gotta. I'm sorry, guys. But anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll see you guys next time, as always. You guys take care, and deuces, my comic fans. Take care.